gonna teach me how to do my best, learn to invest, and have a lot of fun doing it in the Secret Millionaires Club.
Warning. I chain smoke and I say fuck a lot. But I accept myself for the way I am. I accept you too. Viewer discretion advised.
Mr. B! What's your secret mission about?
It's not my mission, but an idea that came from my good friend Mr. Bill Gates.
Hi, kids.
C60 in oil is a powerful antioxidant that moves through the body like a magnet to attract and neutralize free radicals. Gotta get rid of those radicals. C60 can slow down aging and reduce cell damage. It can also improve the immune system and reduce inflammation naturally. Not bad. If you're interested, check out my link in the description. Nutty. I put together a little timeline on Bill Gates. Not even that far back and not everything. I'm just going back 11 years, 2009. So first off, in 2009, The Good Club.
On May 5, 2009, some of America's leading billionaires met in a private Manhattan home just a week before the annual meeting of the secretive Bilderbergers. Calling themselves The Good Club, attendees reportedly included Bill Gates, David Rockefeller Jr., Warren Buffett, George Soros, New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg, Ted Turner, and Oprah Winfrey. According to John Harlow of the Sunday Times, the group, while not going so far as to advocate active depopulation strategies, agreed with Gates that human overpopulation was a priority concern. Harlow said there was nothing as crude as a vote, but a consensus was reached that they would back a strategy in which population growth would be tackled as a potentially disastrous environmental, social, and industrial threat. Apparently, those with great wealth and power have decided to take overpopulation into their own hands.
They're called The Good Club, and they want to save the world. Paul Harris in New York reports on the small, elite group of billionaire philanthropists who met recently to discuss solving the planet's problems. Saturday, May 30, 2009. It is the most elite club in the world. Ordinary people need not apply. Indeed, there is no way to ask to join. You simply have to be very, very rich and very, very generous on a global scale. This is the Good Club, the name given to the tiny global elite of billionaire philanthropists who recently held their first and highly secretive meeting in the heart of New York City. The names of some of the members are familiar figures: Bill Gates, George Soros, Warren Buffett, Oprah Winfrey, David Rockefeller Jr., and Ted Turner. But there are others, too, like business giants Eli and Edith Broad, who are equally wealthy but less well known. All told, its members are worth $125 billion. The meeting, called by Gates, Buffett, and Rockefeller, was held in response to the global economic downturn and the numerous health and environmental crises that are plaguing the globe. It was in some ways a summit to save the world. No wonder that when news of the secret meeting leaked via the seemingly unusual source of an Irish-American website, it sent shockwaves through the worlds of philanthropy, development aid, and even diplomacy. Quote, "It is really unprecedented. It is the first time a group of donors of this level of wealth has met like that behind closed doors in what is in essence a billionaires club," said Ian Wilhelm, senior writer at the Chronicle of Philanthropy magazine. The president's house of Rockefeller University is on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. The university's private campus, full of lush green trees, lies between guarded entrances and a metal fence. It overlooks the East River, only a few blocks away from the United Nations. It was here at 3 p.m. on May 5 that the Good Club gathered. For 6 hours, the assembled billionaires discussed the crisis facing the world. Each was allowed to speak for 15 minutes. The topics focused on education, emergency relief, government reform, the expected depth of the economic crisis, and global health issues such as overpopulation and disease. One of the themes was new ways to get ordinary people to donate small amounts to global issues. Sources say Gates was the most impressive speaker, while Turner was the most outspoken. Quote, he tried to dominate, which I think annoyed some of the others, said one source. Winfrey, meanwhile, was said to have been in a contemplative, listening mood. That the group should have met at all is indicative of the radical ways in which philanthropy has changed over the past 2 decades. The main force behind that change is Gates, and his decision to donate almost all of his fortune to bettering the world. Unlike the great philanthropists of former ages, Gates is young enough and active enough to take a full hands-on role in his philanthropy and craft it after his own ideas. That example has been followed by others, most notably Soros, Turner, and Buffett. Indeed, this new form of philanthropy, where retired elite businessmen try to change the world, has even been dubbed, quote, philanthropy, after Gates. Another description is philanthrocapitalism. There is little doubt that the members of the Good Club have done amazing work. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, with a current endowment of more than $30 billion, is the biggest philanthropic organization ever. The Soros Foundation has done valuable work setting up democratic institutions and independent media across the former Soviet bloc. But there is a potential downside to the growth of these, quote, Uber donors, especially if the whims of individuals start to take precedence over the expertise of professionals. The strange truth is that giving away billions of dollars is difficult and fraught with risk. There can be waste, mismanagement, and poor investment. At the same time, it can actually do harm. Quote, if you're putting enormous amounts of money into a community that can't cope with it, then you can implode that community, Peterson said. Others are even more outspoken at the growing dominance of a tiny handful of billionaires in the development sector. Quote, the problem with any good club is that all the people might not be good, or at least not good in universal definitions, said Luis Uwaku, the Rwanda-born founder of the Canadian education charity Positive Vision. There is no issue of accountability. Even the most repressive of national governments is on some level beholden to its own people, or has the capacity to change and reform under popular pressure. But who votes for the Good Club? Exactly.
Ted, what do you think America's place in the new world order should be? It's always been seen as the global policeman.
I think
globally.
The global policeman should be the United Nations.
We really need to bring China into the creation of a new world order.
And then in 2010, the Rockefeller Foundation and Lockstep, and David Rockefeller Jr. was in the Good Club the year prior with Bill Gates. I did a video called Lockstep a while back, but it was deleted from YouTube. It's only on BitChute. I know most of you guys know what Lockstep is now, but for those who don't, the Rockefeller Foundation put a white paper out in 2010 called Lockstep. And it pretty much explains what we're going through right now. In 2014, investigative journalist Harry Vox went on Let Them Talk Live, Manhattan News Network, to talk about scenarios for the future of technology and international development, aka Lockstep.
One of the things that has been missing from the toolkit of total control has been quarantines and curfews, right? Now, one of the things I'd like to show to back up my my claims here, here's a document from the Rockefeller Foundation. Rockefeller Foundation right there. You can zoom in on that where my finger is. It's called Scenarios for the Future International Development, the Rockefeller Foundation. All right. It's called Lockstep. Lockstep. In 2010, they published this, Rockefeller Foundation, and here's what they're saying. They're saying that they call it a scenario. These are scenario narratives, and they speak about it in the past tense. So they put out this scenario, Lockstep. A world of tighter, top-down government control and more authoritarian leadership with limited innovation and growing citizen pushback. Okay, I'll read a little bit of it. In 2012, the pandemic that the world had been anticipating for years finally hit. Unlike 2009's H1N1 This new influenza strain originating from wild geese, they use some scenario, but this is Ebola they're talking about.
Ahead.
Even the most pandemic-prepared nations were quickly overwhelmed when the virus streaked around the world, infecting nearly 20% of the global population and killing 8 million in just 7 months. The majority of them healthy young adults. Debilitating industries like tourism and breaking global supply chains. Even locally, normally bustling shops and offices sat empty for months. Okay, so I love how they talk about it in the past tense in 2010. Right? The pandemic blanketed the planet, though disproportionate numbers in Africa died. Southeast Asia and Central America, where the virus spread like wildfire. But even in developed countries, containment was a challenge. Now here's this one. I love this one. The United States' initial policy of strongly discouraging, in quotation marks, strongly discouraging citizens from flying proved deadly in its leniency. So they should have been tougher, right? Accelerating the spread of the virus, not just within the United States, but across borders. However, a few countries did fare better. China in particular. The Chinese government's quick imposition and enforcement of mandatory quarantine for all citizens, as well as its instant and near hermetic sealing off of all borders, saved millions of lives, stopping the spread of virus far earlier than in other countries. So the message is here is we have to look towards the Chinese, the oppressive totalitarian Chinese regime as an example of what we need to be doing here. During the pandemic, national leaders around the world flexed their muscles, flexed their authority, and imposed airtight rules and restrictions, from the mandatory wearing of face masks to body temperature checks at the entries to communal spaces. And even supermarkets, they want body checks at supermarkets. Okay, so basically what they're saying is they're building a system where every move you make, you got to go through them.
You can't get food. Well, how about if you go to the farmer's market?
Right. Here's the good stuff now. I mean, it just keeps getting better. Even after the pandemic faded, this more authoritarian control and oversight of citizens and their activities stuck, and even intensified. That's the whole point. In order to protect themselves from the spread of increasingly global problems, from pandemics and national terrorism to environmental crisis and rising poverty, leaders around the world took a firmer grip on power. At first, the notion of a more controlled world gained wide acceptance and approval. Citizens willingly gave up some of their sovereignty and their privacy to more paternalistic states in exchange for greater safety and stability.
And also in 2010, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation started investing in Monsanto. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's investments in Monsanto and Cargill have come under heavy criticism. Is it time for the foundation to come clean on its visions for agriculture in developing countries? September 29, 2010, from The Guardian. Also in 2010, from the WHO, global health leaders launched Decade of Vaccines Collaboration. Global Vaccine Action Plan to guide discovery, development, and delivery of life-saving vaccines. In collaboration with UNICEF, the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, NIAID, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, December 2, 2010. The leadership of this council is compromised. Yeah, I'd say so. Of Dr. Anthony S. Fauci. And then in 2011, it was also revealed that Gates and Epstein started having their business relationship. In 2012, he expanded his interest to geoengineering. Bill Gates backs climate scientists lobbying for large-scale geoengineering. Other wealthy individuals have also funded a series of reports into the future use of technologies to geoengineer the climate. February 6, 2012. And of course, geoengineering is just chemtrails. In 2013, Bill Gates rode on the Lolita Express. He's never answered for that, by the way. Not anywhere that I've seen. In 2014, Gates mansion engineer Rick Allen Jones was arrested for child pornography.
They found out that the man actually worked for the Bill and Melinda Gates mansion on the grounds of their sprawling 66,000 square foot estate, and that's where they found him and questioned him last March. According to King County prosecutors, 51-year-old Rick Allen Jones was questioned by detectives about images of child porn and even child rape that were sent from Jones's home computer. Now, none of this alleged crime actually happened at the Gates mansion, but it was here that Rick Allen Jones admitted to detectives he collected child porn for about 10 years, sending images through his Gmail account.
2014 is also the year that it was found that Gates was funneling money through Epstein to MIT. 2015 was the infamous TED Talk with Bill Gates.
First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, health care, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
Also, Rick Allen Jones got off with no jail. In 2017, the Gates Foundation pretty much buys the WHO, a large part of it at least, and Gates' 2010 partner for a decade of vaccines, Fauci, announces there will be a surprise outbreak.
There will be a challenge to the coming administration in the arena of infectious diseases, both chronic infectious diseases in the sense of already ongoing disease, and we have certainly a large burden of that, but also there will be a surprise outbreak.
In 2019, Bill Gates predicted a coronavirus-like outbreak down to it starting at a Chinese market in 2019 Netflix documentary show, The Next Pandemic. And later that year is when Epstein gets arrested, and a lot of the things about his connection to Bill Gates comes out. In October, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation funds, in part, Event 201. We all know what Event 201 is by now, right? In early 2020, Bill Gates steps down from Microsoft. And now he's the quote-unquote savior of the world. And on top of all this, people still can't see it. I don't know what you guys think, but one thing's for sure, that's a hell of a lot of coincidences. And you can say conspiracy theory all you want, but to me, this is a conspiracy fact.
They want to get more control, and it's going to be curfews and quarantines.
Fucking stoned.